Okay. Waiting to connect with my friend Guillermo, Will, and I am a little bit late, just a few minutes, so he is on time as always. And here's Will, episode number 4. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Hi, Guillermo.
¿Cómo andas?
¿Qué haces, querido? ¿Cómo andas?
¿Todo bien? ¿Y vos?
Bien, acá estoy. Estamos tenemos un día hermoso acá en New London. Hace 70 something y no, está todo azul, el cielo azul, despejado. Así que no, tranquilo. Tuvimos ayer fue el cumpleaños de mi hija Brianna, de 6 años, y bueno, lo empezamos mal el cumpleaños, porque
¿Qué pasó?
tuvimos que a las 3 de la mañana ir a la ER, a la sala de emergencias.
No, ¿qué pasó? ¿Ella está bien?
Sí, gracias a Dios está bien, tuvimos suerte, pero bueno, encontró un beads. ¿Viste los beads que se hacen los collares?
Ah, ok, sí.
No sé cómo se dice en español beads, pero bueno,
Vamos a ver.
ahí lo buscamos, después le pongo el abajo, cuando me digas, lo pongo en la edición, pongo beads equals y algo. Y bueno, encontró un beads, dice ¿cómo se dice beads?
El collar, pero también la cuenta. Una tradición popular durante Mardi Gras es tratar de conseguir cuantos hilos de cuentas uno pueda.
Oh,
Pero,
ok.
¿quién sabe?
Una bolita de collar
Vale.
y bueno, se la puso en la nariz porque era verde y quería pretender que era un moco, y después no se la podía sacar. Y bueno, estuvimos una hora tratando de sacársela, no pudimos, así que tuvimos que ir a ER. Y bueno, en el ER pasamos una hora, yo con el doctor y la enfermera trabajando juntos, y después de una hora se la pudieron sacar, pero bueno, estaba el riesgo de que se vaya al pulmón, y si se iba al pulmón, bueno, ahí puede pasar cualquier cosa, puede pasar muerte, puede pasar una cirugía de emergencia. Así que
Claro.
bueno, tuvimos suerte en ese sentido. Y bueno, así que empezamos el día para atrás, pero bueno, al final terminamos bien, tranquilos. Comimos una torta así de grande, pequeña, para 4.
Ya.
Y bueno, eso.
Bueno, me alegro que ella esté bien.
Thank you.
Y me imagino que no es un procedimiento muy raro para los médicos, ¿no? Creo que es algo común que hacen los niños con sus juguetes, como en la nariz, en la boca, todo eso. Pero sí, eso es algo, no sé si peligroso es la palabra, pero sí, si no puedes sacarlo, sí, puede ser.
Sí, sí, nos tocó un médico, un doctor muy joven y estaba muy nervioso, estaba
Oh,
transpirando. Y yo entiendo que a mí me pondría nervioso también, pero bueno, se notaba que no tenía la experiencia, vamos a decir, no era un doctor de 50 años que hizo 30 de esos procedimientos, sino que no sé si era la primera vez que hizo ese procedimiento, pero estaba que se me desmayaba ahí en la mesa. Así que, pero bueno, muy agradecido, gracias a Dios, gracias a él, al doctor, a la enfermera que lo hicieron, pero bueno, se notaba porque cuando terminó, lo sacó, saltó de la mesa, ¡woohoo, yeah! ¡Woohoo! Que no, yo entiendo, estaba muy contento, pero bueno, se notaba que era un médico con no mucha experiencia, vamos a decir, ¿no?
Sí,
Pero bueno, que todo
eso
bien.
no me daría mucha confianza. Si algo tan básico es algo que le da miedo o algo así. Pero por eso no soy médico. Estoy
Claro,
acá
sí.
hablando español. Em,
Claro, yo también. Pero no, yo traté de tranquilizar la situación y vamos a decir, es todo mérito de ellos, no, no me quiero dar ningún mérito de nada, pero bueno, yo traté de tranquilizar a Briana y bueno, indirectamente tranquilizarlo al médico, yo le decía a Briana, no te preocupes, ya la vamos a sacar, porque en un momento el médico dice, no la puedo sacar, no la voy a poder, no sé si la voy a poder sacar. Y yo le decía a Briana, bueno, ahora vamos a tomar un break y bueno, no hay problema, nos quedamos acá, en algún momento va a salir, y bueno, eso es como que creo que le dio más tranquilidad. Incluso cuando terminó el procedimiento nos dijo, no, la verdad que ustedes fueron fantásticos, Briana fue una Champions y vos también de no, te vamos a decir, porque no sabes el padre que te va a tocar, quizás te llega un padre loco, un padre llorando, un padre desesperado. Y yo no, yo, vamos a decir, llegué muy tranquilo porque yo de la manera que lo encaré no es que nosotros entramos al ER con una bolsa y el brazo de mi hija en una bolsa para que se lo pongan de vuelta el brazo, ¿no?
claro,
No, era un beats y bueno, no, traté de encararlo como que no era algo tan, que en realidad no fue algo, no era algo que era life threatening, ¿no? Como se dice.
claro.
Eh, sí, había un mínimo riesgo, el doctor me dijo, hay un riesgo de que se le vaya al pulmón, pero bueno, no, qué sé yo ya te digo, en muchas situaciones, una de las virtudes que tengo es que en situaciones de mucho estrés, yo la mayoría de las ocasiones, obviamente soy humano, cometo errores, yo también me desespero, me pongo loco, pero siempre soy el que trata de calmar la situación, ¿no? Trato de calmar, it's okay, I'm gonna be
Es,
fine.
es decir que sos firme como rulo de estatua.
Firme como rulo de estatua, sí, 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 sí. Ah,
Eh, y una pregunta más sobre ese tema. En, en esa situación con el médico, no sé si él usó muchos términos médicos, pero me parece que es una buena práctica con su nivel de inglés y podés comunicar con un médico sobre cosas de, no sé, la salud y el cuerpo y todo eso. Y no sé si cómo cómo te sentiste. ¿Sentiste?
sí, ¿cómo te
Eh,
dice? Sí, no, mira, a mí me parece que me vas a entender porque seguramente vos sentís un poco lo que siento yo, ¿no? Cuando una persona no te conoce, yo trato de hablar lo mejor que puedo para que la persona piense que yo soy nativo, vamos a decir, ¿no?
claro.
Yo es como mi gol, ¿viste? Si me confunde con un nativo, me
¿No
pone
sos
feliz.
nativo? ¿No sos de
Claro.
Estados Unidos?
Si me parece que te pasa también a vos, si vos hablas español y, oh, wow, y piensan que eras un argentino nativo, eso te pone contento, vamos a decir, ¿no? Así, wow, yes, I did it, I did it.
¡Vamos!
Y no, eso todo, no, hice muy buen trabajo hasta que dije una palabra mal.
Ah,
Hay una palabra que la dije muy mal y que después yo hablando con Gelsi, con mi mujer, me dijo, no, se dice así. Y ahora te voy a decir qué palabra es, porque ya me olvidé cómo se dice correctamente, así que vos me podés corregir y
Pero,
enseñarme.
pero primero que nada, yo soy de Estados Unidos y yo hablo mal o pronuncio cosas mal cada día, así que no pasa nada. Una cosa que todavía es impresionante.
Bueno, gracias, gracias. No, la palabra que dije mal, yo dije nostrils. ¿Y cómo se
Ah,
dice los agujeros de la nariz? ¿Cómo se dice?
yeah, claro, es una O más, más española, más fuerte que la pronunciación en inglés. Nostril, más suave.
Nostril. Ah, ok,
Nostril,
nostril. Y
no,
yo no, very clearly said, porque hice un dibujo en el whiteboard, tienen una whiteboard, un pizarrón blanco con
chicharrón,
marcador el
claro, sí,
whiteboard,
sí, entiendo.
y yo le quería explicar dónde estaba el bead, ¿no? Y hice el dibujo de la nariz y dije, so this is her nostril, and if you can see there is a meat, and inside that meat you can see the bead right there. So it was very obvious that that word killed my dream of
No
of being
pasa nada.
confused by a native.
Pero ahora no sé si me acuerdo cómo se llama esa parte del cuerpo en español. Es, si no me equivoco, es el orificio orificio nasal,
Nasal, nasal.
algo así, pero es
Sí,
un orificio.
orificio nasal, y creo que también se dice, y eso lo podés si querés googlear, pero creo que también se dice fosa nasal. Fosa nasal. Me parece, ¿no? Si no
A
estoy
ver.
inventando.
Pues
si no estoy-
es una buena cosa para mí porque estoy estudiando términos médicos, pero
Creo
em,
que se dice fosa nasal, pero
ok.
no te digo, no te quiero inventar nada, así que.
Puede ser que yo aprendí la manera más técnica o más avanzada de decirlo, pero en la calle nadie va a decir el orificio nasal. La
Sí,
fosa
orificio
nasal.
nasal es correcto, está bien, pero creo que
Sí,
también un sinónimo es
claro.
fosa.
Sí, tenés razón. Acá es fosa nasal. Bueno, eso me sale más fácil, así que fosa nasal.
Fosa nasal. Sí.
Em, pero bueno,
¿Y vos cómo andás? ¿Qué es de tu
eh,
vida?
todo bien. Hace,
Qué es de tus 22 primaveras? También se dice, ¿no? En vez de
uf,
decir 22 años, puedes decir 22 primaveras.
22 primaveras.
Like
A
a
mí me encanta,
22 springs. Your
claro.
22 springs.
Ay, muy lindo. No, todo me va bien, por suerte. Una cosa chistosa, vamos a decir, es que ayer, por la primera vez, o no es súper chistosa, pero igual voy a contarte, es por la primera vez en mi vida, ayer yo vi una, una película de Harry Potter, pero en español latino. Eh,
Ajá.
y para mí fue súper raro porque los acentos de
Ay, no,
las
terrible.
personajes no es horrible, pero para mí no es algo que no estoy acostumbrado de
Claro, claro.
este personaje hablando así. Y por
Sí, sí.
ejemplo, a mí me encanta Lupin, no sé si conoces muy bien los libros de Harry Potter, pero es mi carácter favorito. Y en inglés, él, él habla con una voz no alta, sino eh,
High
bastante
pitch.
normal, pero en español es gruesa, es como, oh,
Ah,
¿por qué estás tan triste, Harry? Es como, wow, ¿qué pasó? Eh, pero es muy buena práctica porque Eh, he visto las películas en inglés unas miles de veces,
Ajá.
eh, así que yo sé lo que están diciendo o tratando de decir, pero también entiendo en español, claro. Eh, pero siempre me fascina el proceso de traducir una película, un libro, algo así, eh, cuando, cuando vos conoces ambos idiomas, porque es como, no, si yo tendría que traducirlo, no creo que es la manera en la cual diría esa frase o algo así, o no es exactamente lo que dice en inglés o algo así, si me entendés, es como, es una decisión del el traductor, me parece que el traductor o la traductora, eh, pero, eh, pero sí, también es, como dije, es muy buena práctica, eh, pero también en Harry Potter, porque hay tantos términos eh, inventados o que no existen, es como hay muchas oraciones en la película que español, 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 una palabra en inglés como el quaffle o el nombre de una personaje o algo así. Así que es como una mezcla de español e inglés. Eh, pero, pero bueno, a mí me encantó porque es, me, me sentí más productivo porque estaba practicando español, pero a la vez mirando una película que a mí me encanta mucho.
Ah,
Así que eh,
exacto.
eh,
No, y también, otra cosa que puedes hacer, te recomiendo un par de cosas que puedes hacer. Primero, una de las cosas que puedes hacer si encontrás algo en Netflix que te gusta, por ejemplo, The Last Dance, o no sé, cualquier cosa que te guste,
claro.
cambiarle obviamente el idioma hablado de inglés a español. Ahora, te puedo dar un trick.
Claro.
Si contratas un servicio lo que hace el gateway es, vamos a decir, cambia tu IP address, tu dirección de IP, y vos de donde te conectas de New Jersey, pero puedes decir, no, yo quiero que en la internet se vea que me estoy conectando de Nicaragua, o que me estoy
Alemania,
conectando
claro.
de Israel, o me estoy
Cualquier
conectando de
lado.
Argentina. Entonces, si vos haces eso, después, vamos a decir, te cambias a que en la internet te vean que te estás conectando de Argentina. Después vas a Netflix con tu cuenta de Netflix y todo lo que vas a ver es distinto a lo que ves ahora. Vas a ver lo que ve una persona en Argentina. O sea, vas a ver todas las
Ok,
películas dobladas al español, y vas a ver
claro.
películas argentinas. Lo que ve una persona en Buenos Aires, vamos a decir, o en Argentina, conectándote a Netflix, vos lo podés ver si contratás un Snot Gateway. Ahora, pues, cuando me acuerdo te aviso el
Está
término,
bien,
pero
sí,
pagás
entiendo.
algo así como $5 mensuales, una cosa así, y te permite tener eso, cambiar de dónde te estás conectando, de qué lugar del mundo, ¿no?
Está bien.
Te digo porque está bueno, porque si haces eso vas a tener todo un contenido completamente nuevo en Netflix, y, y bueno, todo en argentino, vamos a decir, ¿no?
Sí, genial. Lo haré cuando pueda. Pero una cosita más sobre eh, el doblaje.
Sí.
No sé, para un hablante de español o alguien en cualquier lado donde se habla español, eh,
Sí.
si la opción existe entre doblaje de
Ah,
in- inglés británico y inglés estadounidense, porque para mí es muy interesante que existan el doblaje de España y de Latinoamérica. Y no sé si
Claro.
es el mismo en inglés, si tenés la opción para
Sí,
elegir entre los dos.
a veces sí, a veces sí. Lo que pasa es que el problema, como te decía yo, cuando escucho esas traducciones que hacen al español, al español neutral o en español de Latinoamérica, es como, imagínate que todas las películas estadounidenses, vamos a decir, ¿no? Imagínate que todas las películas se hablen con un inglés de Escocia, with Scottish English, todas las películas. Se sentiría muy raro para vos, vamos a decir, ¿no? Cuando ves
Claro,
cualquier cosa, ¿no? Todas las películas traducidas a Scottish English.
ay,
Y
uy, vos,
así,
ay, ay, sí, sí. Perdón, para todos
claro,
los de Escogia, lo lamento, perdón.
no hay problema. Pero bueno, así yo me siento cada vez que veo algo doblado al español, que no es español argentino. El otro español que vamos a decir que tolero más en el sentido, no tolero, pero vamos a decir que lo entiendo más es el español de España, vamos a decir, ¿no? Yo prefiero que la película esté traducida al español de España y no a un español neutral que no sabes si es de México, si es de Nicaragua, si es de Argentina, si
¿En serio?
no tiene sentido. Pero cambio, el español de España es bien, es como decirte, bueno, de British English, vos sabés que es bastante estándar, vamos a decir, ¿no? Pero no, yo creo que ahora tenemos la tecnología en el año 2021 de finalmente hacer todas las traducciones, la traducción al inglés, al español de Argentina, al español de Nicaragua, al español de ecuatoriano, al español peruano, y estaría bueno tener todas esas opciones, porque una persona de Perú me imagino que prefiere que esté traducida con un español peruano, vamos a decir, ¿no? Con esos términos. Y lo mismo le pasa a alguien con Argentina, a una persona de México o de España, ¿no? Que ellos no quieren escuchar un español argentino, vamos a decir, ¿no? Una persona de España quiere escuchar español de España, vamos a decir, ¿no? Y sí, yo no sé por qué no lo empiezan a hacer, pero eso sería más, ahora que estamos con todo el tema de incluir a todo el mundo, sería un buen paso en incluir a todos, ¿no?
Claro. Sí, no, nunca había pensado en si em, había la opción entre inglés británico, inglés estadounidense, cosas así, pero en casi cada película o también en algunos libros es como en español de España y español de Latinoamérica. Y otro, otro ejemplo es con Los Simpsons, porque
Ah,
yo veía Los Simpsons en Argentina eh, como una parte de la vida cotidiana, pero con mi hermano, pero o a mi hermano anfitrión, eh, pero siempre el doblaje era de Argentina, claro. Pero actualmente, si estoy tratando de ver capítulos, es la mayoría del tiempo son de España y las voces son completamente diferentes. Así que eso es la primera vez que yo noté que la opción existe, pero claro, supongo, me imagino que, que tiene sentido que también existe en inglés también. Eh, pero bueno, es muy chistoso cuando es una cosa que has visto miles de veces en, en tu o en tu idioma natal y, y cuando lo escuchas en español o inglés o algo distinto es como wow. Eh, pero bueno,
sí.
otra cosa, hace pocos días, creo que hace 2 días era el día de la patria, me parece, en Argentina, ¿verdad? El
Sí.
25 de mayo. Em, y, y no sé si conoces la respuesta, pero yo vi supongo que es el escudo de la República de Argentina con las dos manos. Y también, no sé si puedes verlo, pero hay no, está muy
Ah,
lavado, pero está en esta camiseta, pero
sí,
está
ahí se
bien.
ve un poquito.
Em, pero ¿conoces de dónde viene el escudo y por qué hay dos manos y una gorra roja o algo? No sé si es una gorra, me parece que es una gorra, pero porque yo tomé una clase sobre la historia de Argentina cuando en la facultad en Mendoza. Eh, Así que eh, conozco, o sea, aprendí sobre la guerra de independencia y San Martín y todo eso, pero no sé eh, si aprendí la historia del escudo y no sé si lo conoces. Si no, está bien, pero eh, estoy curioso.
Sí, la verdad que no tengo idea, la verdad que no.
Ah, ok.
Sí, no sé, así que no, me vas a enseñar en algún momento porque la verdad que no, no tengo idea. El gorro rojo, el único gorro rojo
Ok.
que
Hay, hay una diferencia entre una gorra y un gorro, porque creo
Ah,
que escuché
no,
gorro.
en realidad una gorra es más de que baseball cap
Ah, ok.
y un gorro puede ser un gorro un gorro de esos, de cualquier tipo ah, cualquier otro tipo de gorros más chiquitos, vamos a decir, ¿no? Como,
Claro.
eh, por ejemplo, en la religión judía se usa el kipa, creo que se llama kipa, y
Sí.
eso es un gorro, no es una gorra, vamos a decir, ¿no?
Ok.
Es más específico de un propósito, vamos a decir, ¿no? Una gorra con una A es más general, vamos a decir, ¿no?
Es interesante. No sabía la diferencia. Y ahora estoy tratando de pensar en otros sustantivos que, que tienen significados diferentes cuando el género cambia, como gorro, gorra, pero
Ajá.
está bien. Em, pero mi otra pregunta sobre la historia de Argentina es, hay un Día de la Patria que es el 25 de mayo y eso es, si no me equivoco, donde cuando como en aquel año de 1810, creo, empezó la guerra de independencia, pero en el 9 de julio, eso fue ese día de independencia, pero también hay un día de la bandera, así que no, pues ahora no sé si conozco la fecha de el día de la bandera de Estados Unidos, así que no soy, eh, pero bueno, porque en Estados Unidos, claro, tenemos el día feriado de nuestra independencia, 4 de julio, pero no sé si tenemos un día como Día de la Patria y es algo que a mí que a mí me parece muy lindo el sentido de orgullo en Argentina, porque, claro, para mí es un país que merece todo el orgullo del mundo, pero eh, vamos a ver. Solo estaba pensando en este tema esta mañana, como no sé si es el mismo en Estados Unidos o es algo distinto de Argentina, pero
Yo
eh,
creo que el 4 de julio es el equivalente del 25 de mayo y el 9 de julio, combinados, vamos a decir, ¿no? Es como que es un solo día en Estados Unidos. Y en Argentina es 2 días, vamos a decir, ¿no? Está como dividido en dos.
y ahora um, yo encontré que el 14 de junio es el Día de la Bandera en Estados Unidos. Así que,
Ah,
mira,
ok.
estamos aprendiendo cosas de ambas culturas,
Sí.
ambas, ambas culturas, sí,
Ambas. Muy
ambas,
bien.
claro, claro. A veces es como, claro, es muy fácil la concordancia entre género y todo eso, y a veces es como, no sé si esa palabra cambia o no, pero no importa. Eh, y no sé si tengo algo más, no tengo una lista grande de dudas sobre la gramática hoy, eh, sino más sobre cosas, eh, no sé, más generales o sobre la cultura de Argentina. Eh, y es, ¿puedes contarme algunos recuerdos que tenés sobre cómo se, no sé, cómo se festeja en Argentina durante el Día de Independencia o Día de la Patria? Porque ya pasó hace un par de días. Si es algo parecido de lo que hacemos acá en 4 de julio o hay otras
No, la
maneras.
verdad es que no. La diferencia, por ejemplo, en los días patrios de Argentina, que es el 25 de mayo o el 9 de julio, son días donde la gente se pone la escarapela, ¿ok? ¿Sabes lo que es la escarapela? Ok, se pone la escarapela.
Escarapela.
Escarapela es
Ok. Claro, claro.
un redondito, vamos a decir un círculo con los colores de Argentina.
Sí, 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 sí,
Ahí
sí.
pongo un gráfico en la edición, te voy a poner el gráfico para que la escarapela, para que se vea. Y,
Y
y
ahora
bueno,
me acuerdo, sí.
la escarapela es la gente se pone ese símbolo. A veces se hacen eventos de empresas o eventos organizados por organizaciones gubernamentales o no gubernamentales para celebrar, pero no está en Argentina lo que tenemos acá en Estados Unidos, donde el 4 de julio todos los pueblos hacen los fuegos artificiales. O sea, hay
Sí,
un
sí,
día, a
sí.
veces es a veces es el 4 de julio, a veces es el 3 de julio, a veces es el 5, que eso depende de cómo está el tiempo y a veces para no hacer dos pueblos juntos, se hace un pueblo y después se hace el otro pueblo el día anterior o el día siguiente. O sea, es más, hay como un evento bien popular de hacer los fuegos artificiales y bueno, la gente va con todo, se pinta las caras, se pone todos los colores red, blue and white. Y bueno, yo siempre me pongo una camiseta de la selección. Eh, y sí, y además mucha gente se reúne en las casas, ¿no? Se reúnen, oh, we're gonna do some barbecue for 4th of July, ¿no? Vamos a hacer un asado por el 4 de julio. Y en el caso de mi familia, mi suegra nació el 4 de julio. Así que siempre nos reunimos porque es el cumpleaños de ella también, vamos a decir, ¿no?
Ah, ok.
Así que siempre tenemos fiesta el 4 de julio
Enorme.
para celebrar el Día de la Patria y bueno, su cumpleaños, ¿no? Así
Claro.
que
Pero supongo que en Argentina, para festejar el Día de Independencia, es en el medio del del invierno, ¿no? En julio.
Ah,
Em, Así que no sé si pueden hacer asaditos, pero es el mismo acá, o pues no el mismo, pero algo que, ah, que me pareció, no raro, pero gracioso, es que el Navidad en Estados Unidos eh, es un día feriado, ¿sí? Feriado, ¿cómo se dice? Holiday en general.
vale, sí, feriado. Feriado.
Feriado, dale. En el invierno, pero en Argentina es como, ay, vamos a tener un asado y todo eso afuera
Claro.
del, de la casa o todo eso. Eh, y no sé, para nosotros sería un día bastante frío
Claro.
para asadar, eh, pero bueno, y la última cosa que te voy a decir, y no sé si ya te mencioné eh, antes, pero hice mi primer asado de matambre a la pizza en la parrilla
Ah,
hace
qué
una
lindo.
semana y quedó buenísimo, en mi opinión. Eh, y voy a tratar de hacerlo de nuevo, perdón, eh, este fin de semana, así que te mandaré fotos, o sea, te, te voy a mandarte una invitación a Nueva Jersey y podés probarlo
Sí,
Eh,
me encantaría, me
cuando,
encantaría.
cuando COVID termine, vamos a hacer eso.
Dale, no,
Pero
seguro. Lo tenemos que filmar y ponerlo en el canal también. Ahí el asado de Will, Guillermo, el
un
asador
alto
Guillermo.
asadito, ¿viste? No, no, a mí me encanta. Es la...
Yo llevo las cámaras y filmo ahí todo.
Sí, 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 sí,
Y
sí.
hacemos después hacemos un video onda Dustin look.
Bienvenida, gente, al nuevo capítulo de El Asados de Will. En este capítulo vamos a hacer el alto vacío. No,
Sí, sí.
ah,
No, no, seguro, lo hacemos.
no, el asado es... pero una cosita más es cuando hago asados para mi familia o mis amigos acá, ellos siempre me dicen que está buenísimo, muy, muy bueno. Pero para mí, porque yo comí asados en Argentina y eh, me acuerdo el sabor y todo eso. Los asados acá no son de la misma calidad, vamos a decir, no son malos, pero no sé si es, son las cortes del carne o el carbón o la leña o lo que sea, pero no, todavía no puedo eh, lograr el mismo
Efecto. Ujú.
efecto de la magia, mágica,
La-
mágica,
la-
la
el,
magia.
el- el mismo sabor argentiniano.
Sí, así es. Y para mí es como, todavía me falta algo. Y para mis amigos es como, está buenísimo. No, tienen que, tienen que irse a Argentina y
Sí,
entenderían, pero
sí, sí, tenés, querés, querés hacerme una pregunta al respecto o que te dé algún tip, como...
claro, claro, por favor.
No, no te quiero interrumpir, no sé si habías
Oh,
terminado.
no, sí, yo terminé.
Ok. Ah, no, en realidad, primero, déjame aclarar que mis amigos me decían, no, boludo, vos no sos argentino, si no te gusta el asado. ¿Cómo no te gusta el asado, boludo? Vos no sos argentino. Y
Es
bueno,
una parte de la sangre, ¿no? Es como,
estaban equivocados no estaban porque en realidad yo soy más, me siento más estadounidense que argentino, ¿no? Pero bueno, más allá de eso, ya a mí, yo soy, a mí me gustan las pastas, porque me gusta, soy
ok.
más de pastas. Pero te puedo decir lo que yo sé, lo poco que sé. Primero que está bueno que si haces un asado, se lo puedas hacer probar a una persona argentina que conoce de asado, porque si vos me lo haces probar a mí, a mí me va a gustar seguro, porque no puedo distinguir, no sé cómo distinguir, vamos a decir, un asado argentino de un asado estadounidense, vamos a decir, ¿no? Ahora lo que te puedo decir es que por saber de amigos y aparte de otros argentinos alrededor del mundo, es que tenés que tratar de hacerlo con carne argentina, vamos a decir, ¿no? Tenés que conseguir carne argentina. Por ejemplo, hay un canal que se llama Japatonic, ahí pongo en
Ah,
Japatonic LITE, y ellos hacen asados, hacen un asado que se juntaba antes de COVID, se juntaban toda gente de Argentina en un lugar de Japón y hacían un asado grande, pero compraban carne argentina. Es más, hace unos meses hicieron un episodio donde se entrevistan a un japonés, que él es mitad japonés, mitad argentino, y él exporta carne argentina a Japón, ¿no? Y ahí es donde ellos compran la carne argentina para hacer un asado argentino, vamos a decir, ¿no? Así que yo te diría que lo primero que trates de conseguir es carne argentina, ¿no? Además sé que yo no sé de cortes, pero sé que los cortes son distintos, vamos a decir, ¿no?
claro.
Y,
Eh,
y-
sí,
sí.
el problema es que no hay tantas carnicerías acá en Estados Unidos, porque cuando estuve en Mendoza solo tenía que caminar unos cuadros y listo. Eh, había una carnicería, pero acá todo es del supermercado y eh, todavía la carne está buena, pero no es, si no es algo que no es ¿cuál es la palabra? Si no son especialistas o en
Ah.
la carne, no es el mismo de una carnicería, pero está bien.
Sí, no, pero seguro que tenés, estaba pensando en vos el otro día porque tengo una historia para contarte, conocí otro argentino que vive
Oh,
en mi pueblo.
en- en la
Te con-
cancha, ¿no? Del fútbol.
Sí,
Eh,
sí, jugando un partido, conocí un muchacho argentino que vive acá a 5 minutos de mi casa, que es increíble porque acá no hay nadie que hable español primero y segundo, alguien de Argentina Yo en 17 años de vivir en Estados Unidos nunca conocí un chico de Argentina que viva tan cerca de mi casa, vamos a decir, ¿no? Pero bueno,
sí, sí, me dijo la semana pasada, es una historia genial, a mí me encantó mucho que hay dos argentinos en New London. Vamos. Sí,
sí,
New
no, sí.
London, sí.
New London, New
New
London.
London,
Sí, sí.
sí.
Pero bueno, ojalá que algún día lo conozca porque él es bien argento en el sentido de que le gustan los asados, o sea, muy típico, vamos a decir, estereotípico de una persona de Argentina que bueno,
Vamos.
yo soy muy distinto a eso, pero vamos a decir, él es bien de todas las palabras, de todo el mate a la mañana y de que el asado y que el dulce de leche. Así que bueno, ojalá algún día lo conozcas. Es abogado, es un muchacho abogado y él se crió en Belgrano, que Belgrano es el otro barrio limítrofe con el barrio donde me crié yo, que se llama Palermo. Así que bueno, charlamos de muchas cosas de los barrios am, pero yo estoy seguro que tenés que encontrar algún importador de carne argentina en el estado de New Jersey. Seguro que hay en algún lugar.
No, tienes razón.
Quizás tengas que manejar 1 hora o 2 horas, pero seguro, pero casi te garantizaría que tiene que haber algún importador de carne argentina, seguro.
Claro, no, sí, es la única cosa que me falta porque ahora uso carbón y leña, una mezcla, pero el carbón viene de Argentina, es de, ¿cómo se llama el árbol? Em, quebracho
Quebracho,
blanco, ¿cómo se llama?
quebracho blanco.
Sí, sí, creo que es quebracho y mistel o algo así, pero sí, la mayoría es quebracho blanco. Em, Así que el humo es como el de Argentina, pero la carne no. Eh, pero está bien,
Sí,
porque a mí me encanta hacerlas y eh, las, o los asados,
los
los
dados. Ah,
hacerlos, mala mía. Eh,
otra cosa
pero
que puedes hacer, otra cosa, Will, que puedes hacer es buscar en Google restaurantes argentinos cerca de tu casa y podés mandarles un email y decirle, hola, ¿qué tal? Yo soy Will, ¿dónde tenés
soy
algún
Colo
distribuidor?
Tolo, el podcast más popular de... no,
Sí, no, podés mandarle un email y por ahí ellos te dicen quién es el distribuidor o dónde podés comprar la carne. No, seguro que podés
es buena
conseguir.
idea, gracias. No, es muy buena idea. Eh, Gracias.
No, no
Y
hay problema, querido.
te avisaré cómo va, pero bueno, casi pasó una hora en castellano. Cómo vuela el tiempo, ¿no?
¿Cómo?
Eh,
Sí, sí.
es una expresión en español o es algo, porque es algo que decimos en inglés, pero no sé si es una...
Sí, vuela el tiempo, ¿cómo voló el tiempo? Sí, yo usé, es familiar de Argentina, pero no sé si se usa en España
No, ok.
o en otros países.
Eh,
Pero en Argentina
yeah,
sí, voló, se
dale.
fue el tiempo se fue o voló el tiempo, se puede decir, sí, sí.
Dale. Okay. Um, so English time.
English
Um,
time? Okay, we'll do the little switch, like Marty
whoa!
McFly.
What happened? um, yeah. So this is always the tough part too, because I feel like we recount what's going on in our lives in Spanish, and then it's like you get to English, and you're like, so what's new? Oh, you already told me, but we can practice it in English if you want to. But if
Yeah.
someone's listening and they know both, it's probably like, oh, we heard this already.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I am a creative mind, so I rarely run out of topics because I can tell you so many things that I will bore you. In fact, I was editing this the second episode or the first episode. I think it was the second episode, and I was going, I was going and going and going and going and telling you something. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, and I can see as I'm editing, I can see my face on the right side of the screen and your face and you were like, I feel bad for you because I was thinking, oh man, this guy, he's maybe I'm boring him.
no, no, never, no, never, never, never. Uh,
I should
the only
speak
thing is,
less. I was thinking, I
sometimes,
need to speak less.
sometimes, no, 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 not at all. I sometimes, especially in Spanish, I, if my face was going blank, it's more that I was trying to think of how I should respond, like in a good way. But it's like you're not as, I need to be more focused on someone talking. But sometimes I'm like, okay, how can I use a new phrase I learned or vocab or make a joke or something just to practice something new. But
Yeah.
um, so I did. I don't know if you have, as always, we can go over questions or doubts or anything you have, but
Yeah.
I did have one topic that I thought of the other day, and we might have talked about this, weeks and weeks ago. I don't think in a recorded episode, but um, I I came across there. I was thinking how in English there's some expressions that we have, and I don't know if there's a grammatical term for it. I'll have to ask Ruben, but um, where we can have two expressions that have words in that, like different words in them that have opposite meanings, yet both expressions mean the same thing. So, for example, I don't know if you've ever heard someone say like, you know, oh Ben, are you up for a game of soccer this afternoon? And you'd be like, yeah, I'm up for that. And so like to be up for something is like, estás
Mhm.
listo, you're ready to go. Um, but we can also say maybe this might be more like a younger generational thing. You can also say I'm down to do something. So you could be
Uh,
like, um, you know, oh, there's a party this weekend. You want to go? You'd be like, yeah, I'm down. Like, vamos, you know? And I just think that, again, like, to someone learning English, you're like, I'm up means okay, but also I'm down also means I'm okay. Like, so I don't know, again, if that's something unique to English, but I think it struck me as like, oh, these poor people trying to learn English, like, it,
Oh, right.
you gotta overcome that too, like, make up your mind. Um, and there's a couple other ones that, um, like one of the other classic ones. I don't know if you're familiar with these terms, but do you know what the difference between a smart ass and a dumbass is? Because they're, obviously smart and dumb are opposites, but
I
in
think I think I know, so I can tell you what I think, and then you can tell me if I'm
okay,
right or wrong. But smart ass is when somebody thinks that is smarter than everybody else, and dumbass is like somebody who's just an idiot. Is that right? Or yep.
100%, muy bien. Yeah, that's yeah. Smart ass is like, um, you know, te haces el vivo or something like that, and then dumbass is just like este no entiende nada. They don't know anything. So a yeah, but again, like a smart, it just cracks me up. The smart and dumb are opposites, but you can use both of those. But those, I guess, are slightly different uses. Whereas I'm up and I'm down are opposites, but they mean the exact same thing.
Right.
Um, I was trying to think if I could think of any other examples, but I don't know if you've ever encountered stuff like that where you're like, um, I and again, I don't know the term for it, but I feel like we do it a lot in English where um, we add like little directional words into, like, I need to come up with an idea, like, come
Right.
up, you know what I mean? Like, why not just, I need an idea, like, come up, or like there's just interesting things like that that are, um I think are definitely interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
um and I'm trying to think of, I thought I had a longer list than smartass and dumbass and I'm up and I'm down. There's got to be more, but um, anyway, I can look for a few more. But if you, in the meantime, if you have doubts, questions,
Yeah. Yeah.
stories,
Yeah.
whatever, the microphone is yours, as we say.
Yeah,
Or the stage.
if you can think of the other ones, I have things that I can tell you, and I have a few questions. And yeah, something I recently, there is a word I recently learned in English that I heard that word before years ago, but I never kind of used it. But I recently was able to. I was watching a couple of videos from somebody I'm gonna tell you who that person is. I just want to clarify that I don't really care about the political views of this person. But anyway, I was watching a couple. I like to watch motivational stuff and videos and how to lead a more successful life. In
Right, right,
fact,
right.
my book is called master plan your success, deadline your dreams. It's all about leading a more successful life. And success doesn't mean money. Success is being happy. So if money means success for you, good. If love means success for you, good. Whatever. So you define success. I don't. So, but the goal is to lead a more successful life. Anyway, one of the people's, as you watch content on YouTube, that triggers the algorithm of YouTube, and then YouTube, they start recommending you things that they think you may like because they want to keep you on their platform watching their content, right? So
Right.
one of the many people they recommend me all the time is, his name is Dan Peña, right? Dan Peña, right? I don't know if you ever heard of Dan Peña.
The
An
name
older
sounds
guy.
familiar.
He's like 80 or 82, whatever. He's an old guy. I don't know
Oh,
how
yeah,
old
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's like really rich. He owns a castle in Scotland and all that.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
He's like super rich, and he does he does these seminars that are very expensive to join for a couple of days. Anyway, very rich guy. And one of the things, as I was watching one of his videos, one of the things because he has a very aggressive demeanor towards the people who are taking his course. And when he said telling you something, he's like a no nonsense guy, and he will tell you things like really, he doesn't care if he's going to hurt your feelings. He's
Right.
just going to tell you things the way they are, And, he was in the army, and he was raised with a very strict father who really abused him as a child, badly abused him as a child, by the way. So one of the terms he tells to the people in his audience many times when he's explaining something is meathead,
Oh,
and
meathead.
meathead. So, for example, you meathead, I bet that you're not successful because your parents gave you too much when you were growing up. Meathead. And he keeps saying meathead and meathead. And, one of the little videos he has at the beginning of his videos, he says, subscribe to my channel, meathead. And, and that's a word that I kind of recently learned. So my question to you is like, is that an offensive word? Is that a funny word? Is that what kind of word is meathead? I mean, I don't think it's a curse word, but is it
No,
offensive?
it's a great question.
Okay.
Yeah, so a meathead, I guess it depends on the context or how you use it. It's sort of like boludo, I guess. Like if
Okay.
you just walk up and to somebody and we're like meathead, like they might be like, hey, what, like they might be upset. But like if you were to call me a meathead right now, I'd be like, you know what I mean? Like it's. I'm trying to think of the closest thing in Spanish. It's like a bruto or someone who's like just like a big person usually who they say like one of the things we joke about is like they have a strong back, not a strong mind. It's like they're big, or they do stuff with their hands, but they're not like a thinker.
Okay.
I don't know. Is bruto un bruto?
Bruto.
Yeah, I think that's like it's just like someone who's just sort of like, a meathead is like for example, if you saw somebody who went to the gym every day and was like lifting weights and all that, like, wow, yeah, he's a meathead, like it's. But it's interesting that Dan Pena is using that term just like on random people.
Well,
I think it might be sort of like it might, because he is older, it might have been like used to be more used as like maybe like a more commonly used thing for just like silly or like tonto or something just like someone who's just not thinking clearly, but not like offensive.
Well, one of the videos I was watching, and that's why my confusion, and that's why I want to talk to you about it, because in one of his videos, he's talking to the audience, and there's this guy on the front, and he's giving an example. I don't remember what the example was about, but he said, for example, you Asian meathead, you wouldn't blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, to me, that's so offensive. I mean, just saying that, but then I was thinking, well, maybe it's not offensive. That, do you know why I was confused? Because I was like, I would never say something like that ever, but I don't know. He said it's on YouTube, and it's like, oh, okay. It's, I just don't know.
It's not like, again, like it's not exactly polite, but it's not, I mean, it's not like really offensive or anything like that. But I'll have to look and see how he uses it. I'll have to watch the video. One other phrase that's probably not quite as common, but a similar sort of term, we say a knuckle dragger. That's a good pronunciation word for you.
Knuckle dragger. I never heard that word.
Yeah. It's basically, again, it's a similar similar description of someone that's just like, they might be big and strong, but their brain doesn't work. But it's basically like, I don't know if you know what a nudisho. Right. And it's like you're dragging. So if you think of like
somebody who's big and like a Neanderthal.
Exactly. Yeah, that just sort of like walks, but their arms, drag on the road or the ground. That again, that one you won't really hear as much, but you might hear it playfully, like he's a knuckle dragger, like.
I never heard that word actually, so that's a good one. Thank you.
It sounds German, doesn't it? Knuckle dragger.
Knuckle dragger, right? Yeah.
So now I've offended Scottish people and German people in the same. But that's funny you picked up on that meathead. Like it's just, I guess it's perfect. It in a certain way. It's very. It reminds me sort of like what I remember in Argentina, that there's just a very like playful name calling thing of like, like you make fun of people and you like, you might, pick on something, like if they're bald or something, you know what I mean? Like you just like there's playful terms. I feel like meathead is sort of just like it's a pretty inoffensive way of just being like dummy, or like, come on, you meathead, like use your brain, I guess. That would be my biggest thing. I wouldn't, like if you're, mad at someone at the store and you're like meathead, like they might be sort of, they might get upset. But if, like in between friends, yeah, you're fine. It's pretty funny.
Is that especially
something? That you would use that term is kind of like, wow, like this guy.
He's not a meathead.
Yeah, he's not a meathead if he can use the word meathead.
So is that a word that it's okay to use with my girls or my wife and say, hey, meathead?
Again, if it's playful, it might be, your wife might laugh like I'm kind of doing it just because it is like she'll know, she'll be familiar with it. Like it's common enough that people know it. But it's not like an everyday thing. So I don't know if it is like an older term, like that's why Dan Peña is using it, or whatever. But if you say it like affectionately, it's kind of cute, like, oh, hey, meathead. But there might be better nicknames.
Is the word silly kind of the same or not really?
Yeah. So I would say silly is way more. Like silly has no, like you can't offend someone with silly. It's just a very, maybe like a very inoffensive word. It's just,
Can you think of a similar of the equivalent in Spanish? In Argentine Spanish, it wouldn't be boludito, right? No, boludito is a little offensive, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, do they use tonto in Argentina, or is that like Spain?
Yeah. Tonto.
Yeah, it's just like there's probably a better word that I'm not thinking of right now, but it's just for silly. That's for silly. For meathead, right. It's I don't know. But yeah. It's just,
so the etymology of the word meathead means that inside their head they don't have a brain, they just have meat, right? Is that what it means?
Yeah. I don't know specifically where it comes from, but
because a meathead,
it's sort of like that. It's or like, yeah, that they're just, yeah, that their head is not, their brain is not in their head. It's it's just meat.
So if you love asados, are you a meathead or not?
I guess you could use it in that context. I don't know if I've ever heard someone say like, if you said like, I'm a meathead, people probably like, yeah, I'm sure you are. Like,
are you an asado head? Asado
yeah,
head.
Asado head. That'll be our new word. Yeah, that's so funny. I don't think anyone used it to describe their love of meat. It's pretty much just someone who's not thinking clearly or isn't very intelligent.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm a meathead.
Meathead.
Yeah, it's really funny you picked up on that. I'll have to try to think of, maybe not for this class, but going forward, I'll have to try to find some other funny, just expressions like that are kind of like, to tease somebody, but that don't, aren't like very mean. But I can't imagine just like, Dan Pena just calling people like, come on, you meathead. Like,
Yeah, he gets really upset, and he's like quite, he uses all kinds of curse words, and it's like, wow. And these people are paying $10,000 for 4 days or something like that, some high price like that. And it's like, you go there so that way the guy can treat you like crap, really. But I mean, whatever, people know what they're doing, people know he's that way, and people supposed to come out as a more successful person. So I don't know. I can't speak for a training I never took, but his videos are like, wow, he's like use all kinds of curse words. I mean, the worst ones you can think of, he uses them. And I don't know. It's just like, I guess it works for some people, but that approach for me is like, no, I don't like when people call me certain things all the goddamn time for hours and days. So
yeah,
that's
I guess the closest thing, another one is like cabron. I don't know if maybe that's not quite so much in Argentina. Is cabron? Or is that more like a Mexico? Cabron? Hey, cabron.
I think so. I heard the word before, but it's not a common word in Argentina.
Yeah. Okay. I know. I remember. I think that's very Mexican slang. Is cabron is like
Right.
But yeah. Sorry, I was just trying to find another equivalent. I will say, because I also like those like motivational videos, and I have seen stuff with him, Dan Pena. And one of the things he always talks about that's interesting is where he says, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." Like the people that you associate with, reflect, where your path will go, which I think is an interesting thought. I remember two of the things that I was going to bring up with you. So we can, starting now, we can come in. One of the things that I wanted to go over with you is, and maybe this is also an Argentine question, but at least in the United States, I know it's interesting. If you meet somebody and you ask them, or they ask you, what do you do? We always respond like, oh, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, it's like, ¿a qué te dedicas? Like, what do you, what do you work for? And I remember when I went to Europe and they asked, what do you do? And you said that they're like, no, like, do you like movies? Do you go sailing? Do you go on hikes? Like, it was more like, what are your hobbies? And I just thought that was an interesting thing that, like, we answer what we do in the United States is like how we earn money, when at least in like Germany and the countries, it was like, what do you do that like makes you happy, or that, like, what do you do when you have free time, sort of thing. And I didn't know if someone asked you in Argentina. I don't remember if someone specifically ever asked me that. I mean, they asked me like why I was in Argentina or what I studied, but that was like very clear, that's what they were asking. It wasn't just like, and I didn't know if that was something that you noticed, like if that was weird to you, that people are like, why do they care so much about like jobs and money, and not, that I love to make videos or to snowboard or stuff like that.
I think that at least in the United States, my assumption when somebody asks me, what do you do, is what do you do for a living? That's my assumption. But in Argentina, I think people will ask you, che, ¿de qué trabajas? right?
Okay, yeah.
It's like a very a more like, you're just specifically talking about your work, Uh, eh, another phrase that they use in Argentina is like, ¿a, a qué te dedicas?
¿A qué te dedicas?
Hey,
Yeah, I
che,
heard.
bro, ¿a qué te dedicas? Y eso es menos específico, es less specific, but I think you can answer like, oh, I'm a student, or how do you spend your time, right? It's
Right, yeah,
like,
exactly. Like, what do you dedicate your time to? Yeah.
yeah, so if you're a writer, you can say, well, I just write every day because I'm a writer. Or if you're a student, well, I just go to school. Or if you have a job, you can say, because you can talk about your job. Or if you're a student and you have a job, then you can explain both. But it's more open to interpretation, the second one, ¿a qué te dedicas? Rather than ¿de qué laburás?
Right. Yeah, I remember that, like, I was listening to a radio show and they had a guy on and they're like, oh, like, tell us what you do. And it was like, oh, I'm a teacher, da 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 da. And I was like, oh, like, I remember that being a thing of like, what do you do? And you're in Europe, and they're like, oh, I love to ride my bike. I love to, go hiking. It's just, I thought that was an interesting difference.
Yeah. I think that at least in my experience, when somebody asks you, what do you do? People assume that they're asking you, what do you do for a living? But when somebody really wants to specifically know, what do you do to have fun, right? They will say, what do you do to have fun? Or what do you do for fun? So then it's more specific. And so, but if they don't specify what do you do for fun or what do you do for a living, then people assume that they're asking you about your job,
Yeah. That is interesting. I did have one or two other things that I remember now that it was a lot of like cultural things that I was kind of curious on. Um, one thing that always amazes me in English is like if you go into a store, or even like if you're just walking in the park maybe and you make eye contact with someone, you might just be like, "How's it going? How are you?" But you don't really like. Sometimes you don't answer, and it's just sort of like it's
right,
just
right.
polite to be like, "¿Cómo estás?" and just leave. Like it's not you're not interested in the answer. It's not like, oh, but if it's someone you don't know, I guess it's at least polite that you asked, but it's just sort of a formality of like,
Yeah.
ciao, and I remember
going?
that again, and yeah, exactly, how's it going? When I was in the Netherlands, it was like someone told me they're like you don't ask someone how they're doing unless you know them. Like if you just walked into a coffee shop and you're like, oh, how's your day going? They'd be like, do I know you? You know what I mean? Like it's just not something that you share with people.
Right. Yep.
Whereas I feel like, and maybe this is a stereotype, but I feel like in Argentina, and maybe it's because I stuck out, but it was like I could strike up a conversation with anybody and we would just have like a natural conversation. It was never just like buen dia and like leave, you know what I mean? It was always
Right.
There was something more to it, which I thought was really cool. That there was more connection with people. Maybe again it's because I'm, obviously not Argentine, but anyway, I thought that was an interesting thing, and I didn't know if that was something that you, when you came to the United States, if that was something that was different to you or that you've noticed.
Yeah. I think that the way I see you is like I'll answer that question because I think I have a decent answer. But the way I don't necessarily see you as a Yankee, right? The only one thing that it will just probably make me think that is like if you have an accent, because let's say Dustin, people think he's an Argentine, and not because necessarily the way he looks, but because he doesn't have an accent, right? So that happens to Dustin all the time. Now there are less Colorados in Argentina, but there are some. I went to elementary school with Colorado, and if you know, looks like he looks a lot like you. You know, I think his hair was redder than yours. Looked really more like orange, like really.
Oh, okay.
You know, Carrot Top. You know the guy Carrot
Yeah,
Top.
yeah.
More like that kind of redhead. You know,
Right.
but he, you know, just like his name is Lucas Furquet, and I still have him on Facebook. We're you know friends. Lucas Furquet, and I think his last name is Irish. I don't know, but yeah, if you see Lucas, you know, and if he you know you know what I mean. You never know, but
Right.
but that's it. I know what you mean. I know what you mean by, you know, people see you and, you know, there is a chance that maybe you're not from Argentina because, you know, so I know what you mean. But yeah, no, I know what you mean about the question because many years ago, boy, I think maybe 12 or so years ago, I did take an English class at a high school that it was given to people who came from another country and wanted to learn English. So I took that class for, I don't know, for 3 months, something like that. And in that class, the teacher told us that in the US, people will say, "Hey, how's it going?" And it's okay to keep walking.
Yeah.
In Argentina, it's not okay. It's like if you ask somebody how's it going, if you are going to ask somebody how's it going, how are you doing, you are on a way forcing the other person to respond to you, not in a mean or in a bad way, but you know, culturally, you know, there is if you ask somebody how's it going, there is an expectation to answer back. Now, if somebody asks you how's it going and you don't answer and you keep walking like you would do in the US, which is perfectly fine,
Yeah.
somebody in Argentina will look at you like, oh, what a you know, what a jerk, you know,
Meathead.
what a meathead, you know, because they're expecting that they're trying to, in a way, being buena onda with you. They're trying to welcome you. They're trying to,
Right.
you know, they're trying to give you something from themselves, and by you not responding, it's like you're rejecting what they're giving you, you know. So
Right. Yeah, I never did that in Argentina, just like "¿Cómo estás?" and just leave. You know, but it is interesting in the US. It's sort of like "How are you?" is just another way of saying hello. How's it going?
right,
You know, just
right,
or buen dia or something like that. You know,
right.
but yeah, that's one I think it just cracks me up. And I don't even know. I'd be curious. Yeah, I've never been to England. I've actually never been to another English-speaking country. Um,
Mm.
but I'd be curious if that's a United States thing or if that's just an English speaking, like just more people are more reserved. I would be interested. I did have one more cultural question for you.
Yeah. Mm.
The this is maybe
I,
not
I
cliche,
love
but
the
I think
questions. I love the
what?
questions. I love the questions because I like to put the argentinologo
Yeah,
side.
yeah. Make sure I have a counter every time we do that. Like 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Um, but I know this is a classic. I don't want to say fear, but like something that when people come to the U.S. they don't understand is when you go to a restaurant, paying a tip,
Oh,
propinas. Um, is that something that you remember being strange or like you were confused about? You know, how much should I give or why am I doing this or anything like that? Because again, I remember that's another thing that's just like uh, very much United States of like you leave a tip, and it's like a big part of how much money that the waiters camareros make. So yeah, I know that's a classic one that people have asked me like why do you need to tip them? Like, aren't they getting paid? And it's like, yeah, but it's just sort of a cultural. I don't know. It's an interesting thing for sure. So I don't know if you had thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I completely, I felt the same way, not understanding why. I mean, understanding what you're saying, that, typically waiters, they make such a low wage that it's kind of a good thing to, leave them a tip. However, tips are just tips, and they're not like mandated, right? They're like more like a moral thing. But you can say, no, what do you mean tips? No tips. So now, I do leave tips every time I go eat out. But what I do is, like, I try, if I know I'm gonna go eat out, I am counting in my head, oh, I'm gonna have to leave 15% or 20% tips. I think that what typically people leave is 15%. You can leave 10 or you can leave 5, but typically people go by for leave 15. And if you got a really good service, you go with 20%. So I kind of have that in the back of my mind. And so that said, I try not to go eat out, because it's gonna cost me more money. So I get that the waiter is not making enough money, but it's not my fault. You know what I mean? So now, if I go eat out, I will tip them. Right, I will tip them, but you see what I'm saying is they're making me pay instead of the owner of the restaurant.
Right. No, I never actually thought about that, but yeah, that's a good point.
They're making me pay. Why do I'll pay the tip, but why do I need to pay? You know what I mean? So that did towards me to not to eat out a lot, because of the cost. It's like way more than I think it should be. So now, bear in mind, I'm not a rich guy. If I was a rich guy, I don't care. I give you 50% tips. I don't care. I'm just not a rich guy. So I really, keep a really sharp eye on my finances. And I try not to overexpend and things that I don't need. So now, to be honest with you, I don't know if I do this right or not, but when I do a takeout, I typically don't leave any tips. When I go, I order by the phone, I go pick it up myself. I just typically don't leave any tips unless...
that's normal, I think, because no one's serving you then.
Right, exactly. Nobody's serving me. I'm paying I'm calling over the phone. I'm paying, and I am the one going and grab it and take it home, right? Yeah, if somebody brings me the food home, yes, I will give them, whatever, $5 or whatever. I will give them cash,
Yeah.
But no, I know what you mean, that in Argentina it's not like that. I don't know, maybe in the last couple of years the things change. I don't know how it's been.
When I was there, I was told that it was like, unless it's exceptionally good service or like something, like they went above and beyond expectation, then you could like leave a little bit, but even that was sort of like, do you think I need, like, I never did, that I remember, because I just didn't want to offend someone. Cause I remember that was the thing too. Like I almost did it out of habit in the Netherlands, and I think it's offensive there, cause it's sort of like, I don't need, you know what I mean? Like, I'm getting paid, I'm working, like, I don't need your money,
Okay. That.
Sort of almost like you're feeling pity for them. Like, oh, here's like,
okay.
But I could, again, I don't want to speak for that whole country. It could have just been, the part that I was in or whatever in the Netherlands. But,
right.
But yeah, anyway, it's an interesting thing. And I know it's very estadounidense, but,
and then it's also how do you pay? Because let's say if I have a gift certificate and for $50 and my order is like, I don't know, let's say $35, and the tip I need to live for the service is like $10 or whatever, and I have like $3 left, on the gift card, and I know I will never come back to that restaurant, or there's nothing I can buy with $3 anyway. So I will just probably leave those extra $3, even though that's on top of my 20%, which 20% is like the most you can leave as a tip. I would just leave everything to the waiter, just I don't care, I'll leave you more than 20%.
Yeah.
And some companies, what I remember, because I worked in IT, and we used to go to do meetings and stuff, and then go out, and the company will pay. So those managers, they will like leave really good tips because it was not their money. You know what I mean? It's like the company's money.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, here's 50% because you guys treated us really well. There you go. And everybody's so happy because the manager is not paying out of his pocket. The company has millions of dollars, and the waiter is so happy because they're getting a really big tip, So
yeah. I remember my last day in Argentina when I took a taxi to the airport. And I realized, I was like, well, I guess I don't need these pesos anymore. So it's just like, quédese con el cambio, like just déjalo así. And that was like the one time I feel like I tipped someone, but it was like you said, it's like, well, I they won't do me any good in the United States. So, but I did keep one like 10 peso bill.
Memorabilia.
Yeah. So maybe it's a federal crime that might be wanted by the Argentine government.
No, I have.
Christina Kirchner is going to knock on my door.
I have a bunch of pesos here that I have here because they're pretty. The ones they made in the last couple of years with animals.
So way prettier than money from the U.S. We just have like, it's just green with a president or or a famous person on it, like. But yeah, Argentina, it's got like all sorts. There was ones with whales and all sorts of beautiful colors. So
yes.
But see, another reason that Argentina is just way on a different level. All right, sounds like a plan. Yeah, they're really pretty, and good old pesos. I'm trying to think if there's any last minute things. That's everything I have on my list for this evening.
Something I wanted to share with you is like something I learned on our last class with Ruben and Dustin. And it's one of those things that I told my wife, and she's a native English speaker, and she obviously does it right because she's a native, but it's one of those things that until I told her, she was like, oh yeah, oh wow, yeah. It was mind-blowing to her because it's something she always did, but again, she never knew she was doing it because she's a native English speaker. But anyway, so what Ruben taught us in Dustin too was, they were giving the example. It's like, depends on the question, you change the intonation. So W questions are like it's like, what when are you going to be available? When are you going to be available? Right? So that's how the intonation goes up. When are you going to be available? Now, if the question is not a W question, meaning like what, when, where, if it's not a W question, if it's are you available? Are you available? It's like more like, it doesn't go up and down. It's like, are you available? Are you available? It just keeps going up. Are you available? But if you're saying, when are you going to be available? It just goes up and down. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess I'd have to like try to hear it without thinking about it, because I feel like if I'm thinking about it, I'll do it naturally. But it might be. I feel like in English I speak with more of a monotone. When are you available? I don't know. Maybe it goes up a little bit. When are you available? Are you available? I don't know, but maybe I'd have to see. But that is interesting. The little the intonation stuff like that. And I know it's a big thing in Spanish too, right? Is the like adding that kind of going up like that indicates the question, whereas I guess it's the same in English too. But yeah, just that sort of obviously it's nonverbal, but it's just that like added layer of how people came up with that in language. That like when I go like this, it's I'm unsure, or I'm looking for you to respond.
Right, but it was very interesting because Ruben said that is actually a rule. There is a rule that if it's a W question, then that's that intonation. But if it's not if it's not a W question and the answer is yes or no, then there is a different intonation. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into it. Maybe I break the rule then. I feel like I don't know if I do that. What do you think? That's a W question. Did I go up there?
I don't know if I do that. I don't know if I do that.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think I hear do that.
Well, I'll have a talk with Ruben, and we'll see what I'll be curious to hear what he says. I'll bring it up next time I meet with him, which I guess is next week. So, it would be interesting to hear. It is always fun to hear or to learn what we do as English speakers. We don't even know. We don't even know how we.
Do you meet with him or with Dustin? 1-on-1 or just on your class?
Yeah, I've meet with them 1-on-1. I was actually so usually I meet with Dustin on every other Wednesday, so I meet with him twice a month, and Ruben twice a month, and it's just more focused stuff. Just good for questions. Although sometimes it's hard. I feel like I only come up with so many questions in a week, and it's like, okay, should I ask this to Ben, to Ruben, to Dustin, to all of them? And I find if it's more like really fine pronunciation or like grammar stuff, it's Ruben. If it's more like, does this make sense? Does this sound good? It's you and Dustin. So it's a pretty funny balance, but no, yeah, I'll bring it up with them next time I see him. It is good, but the W words or the W questions, that's funny. I'll keep an eye on it, or I'll try to listen. When I go have dinner with my family, I'll just ask questions and try to see if I can get them to, what do you mean, or something that'll like bait them into saying it.
Right. And also you can also pay attention to the way they ask you questions too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'll see how they describe the term meathead. That'll be our dinner conversation. So
asado head.
Asado head. All right. Well, if that's everything, I think I'm all set on this end. It's a pleasure as always. I learned a lot, laughed a lot, and hopefully spoke at least semi-good Spanish.
No, that was good. I'm getting a little bit backlogged with editing our episodes, but I started. I'm 15 minutes on the third episode, which is the one from last week. So this is episode number 2 of today. So I'm getting a little behind.
Tired of my voice.
No. I love doing it. It's just like it takes time because I do put titles. When we talk about a specific word. so
yeah.
I just
Well,
put like meathead and then I put equals bruto or something like that, so
yeah.
so people
No,
listen and say, oh, meathead, okay, so.
that's why I feel bad. I can't. I wish there was a way I could help more with that stuff, but I'm not. I've never really done video editing before, so I probably would make more work for you than help you out.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
That's another good example of help you out.
Help you out.
Why is out there? Why isn't just then help
you
in?
in?
Yeah, I guess you can just say then help you, but I mean to help you out. It's like
can you say help you in?
Help you out of your problem, maybe. I don't know.
Can you say help you in?
Help you in? No.
Okay.
I was just saying, like, that's again, it's just like a word we add that I don't know where it comes from or why we do it, but help you out. But yeah, help you in does not make sense. Help you in, unless it's like, let me help you into the car, or let me help you in, like, inside. I guess let me help you in. If it wouldn't be like, you wouldn't just be like, oh, like, let me help you in. But if you were, you could say it in the right context of like, like, let me help you, like you're holding the door open, you'd be like, oh, let me help you in, something like that.
Okay.
I guess that's slightly different.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so right now we have a playlist with the bilingual episodes, and again, if we start making other type of contents, we can have different playlists. And like, let's say, as an example, let's say in a few months with COVID is over, whatever, or whenever I get to New Jersey and you do an asado, then we can do, kind of a video to get out of the bilingual podcast, more like a kind of a dusting type of, blog,
right,
where, document an event, something that happened.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But for now is then, there's a lot of little sections like the one we just did, where you were explaining me that within the right context, you can say, help me in. So that could be like one little video, but again, I think that's something we can think for the future, because I think that the goal will be to have, at least my initial goal will be to have what they say, the YouTube expert, one of the YouTube experts says that you have to have 30, the number is 33. You want to have 33 videos, because YouTube doesn't even promote the channel with 2 videos,
Right.
You have to have at the very, 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 very minimum 10 videos. Otherwise, YouTube is just like not interested. It doesn't matter what the content is, unless you are, a huge celebrity. You are Will Smith and this is your first video. Yeah, well, you're Will Smith. But if you're not a known person, then you have to have the very minimum of 10, but the good number is 33, because then you can actually have enough metadata to optimize for the next batch of videos. So anyway.
Yeah. 33. We can do it. What is this, 4? So we're moving right along.
The thing is, if we had the editing power, and I just don't have the time, but with every episode, we have at least 10 little videos we could put up, that, like a minute video, or like a 30 seconds video where we talk about the meaning of like the one we just did, like help me in, so that could be by itself one interesting video that I think people will watch, trying to learn English. But again, the problem is always time, but maybe one day, because, it all depends on many factors. But if we ever get somebody to help us with the editing, all they have to do, when the full episodes are edited, if we ever get an editor and say, look, this is what we want, find this, clip, you know what I mean? So anyway,
right,
there's potential.
Always. All right. Well, I do have to get going now, but always a pleasure. Great to see you. Un placer.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Y nos vemos pronto,
Nos vemos la semana que viene a la misma Bati hora por el mismo Bati canal. Right?
Eso es. All right. Have a
All
good
right.
night. My best to your family.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah,
Same to your
a
family.
late happy birthday to your daughter.
Oh, I will. Thank you so much.
Nos vemos. Chao.
God bless you.